Hello everyone, I'm Den Haring and welcome back to my channel, Fish Den 365. You know, we're at the time of the year now where spinnerbaits come into play. A lot of people are fishing spinnerbaits. Where I live in Pennsylvania, the best spinnerbait fishing is about 2 or 3 weeks away yet, but it'll soon be here, and for a lot of the other parts of the country, spinnerbaits are the way to go. So today we're going to show you how to modify a spinnerbait so that you can become a quick change artist. So I have here a river to sea spinnerbait, brand new, right out of the box. And what I'm going to do, and this video is in regard to R-bend style spinnerbaits. You see that shape of the spinnerbait is known as an R-bend. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of heat shrink tubing, a small piece of heat shrink tubing, and I'm going to cut roughly about 1/8 of an inch off this tube, and I'm going to slide it over that R-bend like that. Then you can use a little portable blowtorch or a match or a lighter. I like to use a hot air gun. I'm going to warm this hot air gun up by turning it on, and I'm just going to heat shrink that tubing onto there. Okay, and so that is what it looks like. That'll stay on there, that will not come off. Why do I do that? Well, let's say I'm fishing a lipless crankbait, and when I fish crankbaits and some other type of baits, I like to use a small snap. So if I'm in a hurry, or if I only have 1 or 2 rods with me and I want to get that spinnerbait on there, all I have to do is disconnect my bait from my snap, and I can quickly put on a spinnerbait, and now I'm ready to fish a spinnerbait with a snap. And it allows me to change spinnerbaits, because depending on conditions you might want to change the blade style to Colorado or Indiana or Willow, or even the bait itself, the profile, the color. And so by utilizing this little heat shrink tubing on the R-bend, I can now use a snap to change baits. Just makes things a lot quicker and a lot easier when you're out on the water. You don't have to be tying knots all the time. But even if you don't like to use a snap, I still would recommend putting the R-bend, the heat shrink tubing on the R-bend. And the reason why is you can still tie your knot there, and that knot will be right where it's supposed to be, in line with the head of the spinnerbait. And it won't slide down or up or around. Sometimes that'll happen depending if you're fishing on through heavy cover or not. So I would still put that on even if I was tying the spinnerbait. It just keeps my knot where I want it to be and makes fishing a lot simpler. Simple trick there. If you like this kind of video and if you like my channel, make sure you hit that like button, because what that does is it allows YouTube to get my video content in front of more people so that I can share it with them too. Also subscribe. When you subscribe to my channel, that does the same thing. It helps me get to more and more people out there, and I'm trying to grow the channel. So please like and subscribe if you find these videos helpful and informative for you. Let's talk a little bit more about spinnerbaits. So there's a number of different ways to fish spinnerbaits. Usually when you're in the cold water period like we are right now in Pennsylvania, we're pre-spawn. We're coming out of the winter time, and we're in early pre-spawn, very early, because the water temps in my lakes are in the low 40s, but soon they'll be rising into the 50s. It won't be long now, and when that happens, spinnerbaits are going to really be a big part of the fishing. And so when you're fishing in colder water, generally with a spinnerbait you're using a slower retrieve. So when I'm using a slow to medium retrieve, oftentimes then I'll like to put a trailer on the spinnerbait, and so that could be something like this Kitech Swing Impact Fat. Just thread it on there so that it would look like this, and now you have a nice a meatier presentation, and it allows you to fish the bait a little bit slower. As that water warms though, it gets interesting where you begin to maybe start to burn a spinnerbait. What they mean by burning is reeling it in just as fast as you can. You get a heavier 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce, or maybe even a little heavier. You throw it out there, and this usually works very well on windy days where you have a lot of waves in the water. You throw it out there and you just reel it as fast as you can underneath those waves. And in clear water, the fish will come up, they'll commit to that, and they'll really slam a spinnerbait. That's really good as the water warms, as you're coming into late spring and early summer, and then again in the fall. That works very well. But when you're fishing that way, generally I will not use a trailer, but I will put on a trailer hook, and that looks like this. And the reason why I do that is because when you're fishing it fast like that and burning it, sometimes you'll get short strikes. And so this is a trailer hook. All you simply do is you can buy a trailer hook. It's meant to be slid over the hook on the spinnerbait. And then I use a piece of plastic to keep it in place, but I like it to be free swinging like this. So I just put the plastic right where I need that to sit so that it sits straight with the other hook. And that way, when I'm fishing the spinnerbait, if I am coming through some type of cover, the hook will just follow wherever the spinnerbait goes, and that's what I want. I want the hook to follow the spinnerbait. That way it keeps the spinnerbait in balance. The other way I've seen this done, and I don't like to do it this way, is some people will take a piece of surgical tubing and cut a piece off. Then they'll take their trailer hook, put that surgical tubing over the trailer hook, and then where that hole is on the trailer hook, they will impale right through the surgical tubing, right out the other side like that. This is the other method that I see. I don't like this method though, and the reason why I don't is because that surgical tubing can do that. See how that's cocked? You hit a piece of cover and it can go this way. That will throw the spinnerbait out of balance. It won't fish right that way, and you'll not get the same kind of hookups as if that hook is free swinging on the back. So I don't recommend this method. I do recommend the free swinging hook method. And if you're fishing in heavy cover, just be aware that when you have that trailer hook, it's a little more easier to hang up. But by having this method where you have the hook free swinging, it's a little less likely to hang up because the spinnerbait will be in balance when you're throwing it. In other words, it should be straight, and so it'll come through that cover a little bit better. One last thing about spinnerbaits. When you're throwing a spinnerbait, you want the bait to track straight to you. Not like you want it to go straight to you, just like this. You don't want it to be this way or that way. And sometimes out of the package, you'll see them going this way or that way. It's out of balance. That especially happens on lighter spinnerbaits. The heavier spinnerbait is, the less likely that is to happen. But when that does happen, what you need to do is take your thumb or pliers and bend this part of the bait so that it'll track straight. So if it comes through this way, if you're seeing your spinnerbait coming through this way, then you bend this way, and that should help it track straight. You want to make sure you take the time to tune it so that the spinnerbait tracks straight every time. And just be aware that when you catch fish on a spinnerbait, sometimes that'll throw it off tune. The fish might bend this part of the spinnerbait. So especially if you have an R-bend style, it's a little more likely to bend. So you just have to tune it back and make sure that it's running straight. You'll catch a lot more fish that way. So that's our how-to segment for today. I hope you found this helpful. Remember, if you liked the video, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. Remember to subscribe for those of you who haven't subscribed. For anyone who's been watching my videos and hasn't subscribed yet, please subscribe. For your new viewers, if you like this content, please subscribe. Also, please comment, share your thoughts, your concerns, things that you've learned. I appreciate that, and I can share that with viewers too. Happy Easter, everyone, and may God bless your fishing endeavors.